Good morning, everybody. How's it going? As you guys can probably tell, I am on a road trip. I am headed slightly west and then straight north, going to a place called Manitoba, Manitoba. You locals will know. Anybody else, Google that. It's north in Manitoba. What am I doing today? Well, friends, I think, keep your fingers crossed, traveling to buy vehicles is always a risky proposition at best, but I think I found what I think is the perfect replacement for the wood weasel. I found a listing for a truck. I called the fella. It's pushing 30 years old, but it's a one-owner truck, friends, and it's clean. It's well kept and original. There's really no accessories on it, which is kind of neat. Little bit of rust, friends, but I live in the rust belt, so that's just something we deal with here. If I could buy a non-rusty truck, I would. But so anyhow, and I want to give a shout out to my Uncle Rick. Uncle Rick, thank you. He made this happen. My original plan was to get somebody to ride shotgun, and we would just we would drive there and go and get this truck, and I could put a plate on it and drive it home, which would be a lot of fun. Just want to make sure you guys don't fall there. But everybody was busy this weekend. We all got lots of stuff going on in that, and so anyhow, I phoned up my uncle, and he hooked me up with a really nice trailer, so we should have no problems there. Anyhow, friends, we are in Portage-la Prairie, and Portage-la Prairie, Manitoba, and we'll be heading north very soon. So I'll jump in and out. I can't wait to check this truck out. Hopefully she's the one. We're just pulling through Gladstone, Manitoba. Oh, that's cool. Well, a military earth mover. You guys just saw that log truck. We're getting into logging country here. Like I said, I don't live in logging country, but they definitely cut a lot more up here. Shout out to all the people from northern Manitoba. We're not in the north, but you guys know what I'm saying, north of me. Anyways, we're 64 kilometers from Manitoba, and the canola crop looks incredible. Friends, I love the smell of canola. It smells like home. I absolutely love it out here. It's only flat for, a few hundred miles where I live, and then it turns into rolling hills. This is elk country. We have hit Manitoba. Beautiful, beautiful country. There's an eagle sitting on a post there. I love it out here. It's only flat for a few hundred miles where I live, and then it gets to be this rolling hills as far as the eye can see, and just beautiful country out here. This is elk country, and I haven't been up this way in a while, so it's and of course, friends, out here, any town that's hustling and bustling has a Pioneer grain elevator, or another company, and just beautiful. But yeah, the main industry out here is still farming. But anyhow, got to go another 20 minutes up the road. Ooh, look at that. Look at that old Ford truck there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good for you. Here she is. Literally a barn find 7.3. Pretty cool. This is what I've been looking for. Does have some rust, but this truck's clean. Everything works on it. It even has a bowl and some wheat on the side, friends, and some 1990-esque pinstriping. Let's have a look underneath. One owner truck. This it was the fella's dad's, and she's dry, like little seepage from the rear main. Oil pan's good. You guys that have these trucks probably know what you're looking for, but oil pan's minty. Front end's been rebuilt. It's got new tires on it. I'll put some different tires for sure. We need something a little grippier. But he did have a slip tank in it, he was telling me. And here's the other side. Here's a look inside, friends. The only damage I see in this entire interior is the door lock button is missing. It's got the factory Ford high idle, which is super cool. And a few stains on the floor. It's dusty. It's been sitting in a barn. And 293,843 kilometers. One owner. She's nice, friends. She's real nice. Got the dual tanks. Yeah, and it works. Yeah, you can see the gauge moving. Yeah, fella told me everything works in this truck, so. And I tested everything. I couldn't find nothing that didn't work. Cruise works. It's got ice cold air conditioning. Turn the power down. It's got a tape deck. Back seat's pretty clean. It's amazing that these seats aren't ripped. They have dings on them, but they're not ripped in any way. Pretty rare for a Ford. Got some spits in there. Needs a good vacuuming, but it's all there, friends. It's all there. It's clean. And I'm happy. The only thing I wish this truck had is tow mirrors. This truck was bought to tow a gooseneck, and but that's okay. We can remedy that. Anyhow, friends, just taking a little break here. I'll get you guys some more footage, and we'll unload this thing and give it a good power wash. It's been sitting in a barn. It's got one crack on the dash. This thing's overall in nice shape. It really is. I'm pretty impressed with this truck. I've just stopped for lunch. Look, these trucks are everywhere. They're good trucks, and that thing's clean. It's definitely had body work done, but it's clean, friends. Very nice. Here's a look at under the hood. Still even got the rod for moving the tire. Hey, Daisy. She thinks she's going for a truck ride, friends. This thing's like a time machine. She's as factory as she can get. Nothing done to it. The cover's still on there. I'm sure you guys can tell I'm really happy with this truck. It's hard to find stuff like this anymore. They're getting old and miled out. Even has the factory owner's manual in the glove box. Well, friends, we made it home. I'm glad I bought these new straps. I have lots of straps, but I'll let you know. A good chance to try out these new ones. This thing didn't budge an inch. I never tightened them back down. I never did anything. This thing never moved, so that's a good thing. Now, friends, if you've never used an easy loader trailer, let me tell you, these are the cat's meow. Then just fold her down. Let's take this thing for a spin. I got some errands to run. Truck fires up like brand new, doesn't puff. Gonna warm this thing up. I've never owned a Ford truck. This is my first one. I've predominantly been a Chevy guy my whole life. Not because Chevys are the best, that's just kind of what I drove. One thing I already, Ford and Chevy of this era are two different trucks completely. Chevy fit my needs more when I didn't do the kind of work I do now. The longer I live here on this farm, the type of work I do, this Ford is definitely a better vehicle for my day-to-day. Now remember, friends, this is a farm truck. This isn't going to be my daily driver. So what is the perfect truck for you might not be the perfect truck for me, and vice versa. This is a work truck 100% of the time. This truck will be pulling and hauling. Rarely will I drive it around like I am today. The way to prove out a vehicle is to drive it, is what I do. I'll just keep driving this thing until I say, yeah, it's good. Checking for leaks and, any weird issues. Anyhow, with any old diesel, whether it be my 6.5 or this, I like to warm my vehicles up. And I'll run my diesel for a few minutes before it turns a wheel. I think that's a good practice. So I'll warm this thing up and I'll jump back in with you guys when I'm on the highway. Let's take this thing for a spin. First gear is super low on this truck. You can just let the clutch out. Waving to my wife. You can just let the clutch out and just let it go. So I am in downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm running errands. I stick out like a sore thumb in this here farm rig, and I'm loving it. Now, I want to say, so what I'm doing right now, I'm just proving this truck out. I want to drive this thing around and see what it does. Best way to prove it out is to drive it and see what's this truck going to do. Right now, so far, I'm 1,000% happy with this purchase. Now, yes, this truck has some rust, and if you don't live in the Rust Belt, I totally understand. If I lived in Florida or Texas or, places like that, I wouldn't buy a rusty truck. But here, it's really hard to find a, 26, 27-year-old vehicle that doesn't have rust. Now, I looked at all kinds of different trucks. I looked at Super Duties, a couple Cummins. I even looked at a few Duramaxes, and you know what? I think the 7.3 powerstroke fit the bill. No, this thing doesn't make 1,000 foot-pounds of torque and 300-400 horsepower. But what it does do is it'll pull. These trucks are renowned for reliability, longevity, and pulling power. This is a one-owner truck, friends. His father purchased this truck, ordered it brand new, and it lived life on the farm for the last 27 years. It is bone stock original, and even under the hood, friends, there's nothing done to this truck. Nothing. There's no tuner, no chip. no cold air intake, it's not lifted. Now, to some people, that might not be what you want. And that was the thing, friends. It was funny when I mentioned getting another truck. I knew the comments would flood in. As men, we try and solve problems, and it's like, you should buy this truck, you should buy that truck. And thank you to everybody that mentioned what you drive or what you think I should get. Now, the extended cab, a lot of people are like, you're going to want a crew cab for getting that baby in and out. Now, I will say, it takes a little bit of effort to get the baby in and out, but she fits in here perfectly in between the front seats in the back. She fits perfectly, and it's no problem. And any of you that have children now know the car seats nowadays are just huge, but it fits perfectly. Reading online, if you read online, there's a lot of mixed information about whether you can put car seats in the back of these things. Well, it fit perfectly in here with the base. So that was the first thing. I did want a crew cab, but here's the problem. For every one crew cab, there's 20 extended and regular cabs, and all the crew cabs I found are high mile lifted rims, you know, very expensive. And I just thought, for me, friends, you know, I don't need a super fancy, super shiny work truck. This truck's for towing and hauling and doing farm work. It's going to be dirty a lot. It's going to mostly be driven on back roads. So to me, this is the perfect truck. I also like the short bed, not for hauling, but for towing. I have 90-degree turns in my driveway. It is very hard to spin an extended cab long box truck around in my driveway with a trailer behind it. So I don't mind that 1 foot shorter bed to gain that little bit better turning radius. So, but anyhow, I'm just proving this truck out. I'm running errands on good old Portage Avenue in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Portage Avenue is #1 highway, and it runs through the city. This is the main thoroughfare, and I'm just working this thing, doing errands, driving it around. Temperature's low. This thing seems to be very fuel efficient. Lots of oil pressure. It charges good. I mean, honestly, I can't say anything bad about this truck. The air is ice cold. You know, everything on this truck works. The only thing that does not work on this truck is the door lock switches. They're both broken. I don't know if that's a Ford thing. Friends, I've never owned a Ford truck. I've driven Fords at work. I know that Ford makes a super heavy work vehicle. I've put probably 1 million kilometers on Econoline 250 vans at work. You know, probably 750,000 realistically kilometers. I've never been on the side of the road. And those things, you just work them hard and they do not break. So from what I read about these are similar. Do they ride nice? No, this is a choppy ride. It's noisy in the cab. It's very agricultural. But you know what? That's what I want. This thing is tough as nails. I've already pulled a trailer with it. 2 trailers. I put this thing right in the fleet, friends, and started working it the day I got it. And this thing pulls, let me tell you. So anyhow, friends, I'm going to keep doing my running around. I had to go to the exterminator and buy some cricket repellent. The crickets are really bad again this year. Got to go get a loaf of bread, and got to stop at good old Princess Auto, and I got to get some fittings for my water hose. I broke my water hose again. So just normal farm stuff running around, and this farm truck couldn't fit the bill better. So okay, jumping in here, it's the end of the video. Sorry if there's wind noise. It's very, very windy today. But I want to mention one thing. This week, the content's probably going to be slow or non-existent. I took a week off of work. I'm going to spend some time with the family and, you know, just hang out and take a little bit of time off. We'll be jumping back in next week, but I think it's time I take a 4 or 5 day break from making content and just spend time with the family, hang out with my wife and daughter, and go do family things while I'm off. So if there's no content, that's what's going on. Okay, so I've been driving this truck around for a couple of days. I checked the axles, the codes on the axles. This is a 355 gear ratio truck, your final drive. That's what I was looking for the reason we drive highway here a lot. A 410 truck here would just be screaming down the highway. Better for pulling, but I'm very honest about what I need. I am not going to be pulling 15,000 pound loads with that truck. I don't need the lower gear ratio, so I'll be pulling 8, 9, 10,000 pound loads with it, and that'll be it. So I'm happy. I got a good truck at a good price. Now, friends, I was looking all over Canada, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC. I was hoping to find a BC truck. I couldn't find what I was looking for. I've been looking for about 3 months, pretty steady every day. A lot of BC trucks are super rusty. Worse than that, Alberta trucks, if they're clean, seem to be the V10. If you're looking at Super Duties or a 460. I wanted a diesel. That's just, I would prefer to have a 7.3 over a V10 or a 460. So it didn't work out. I was hoping to find a clean, low-mile truck on the island and drive it home, but this one popped up and I couldn't pass it up. It's such a straight truck. It's got its issues, but so do I, right? So it matches. Anyhow, what else was I going to say? That's about it. I'm glad the trip went off without a hitch. I did plan, but I threw this trip together in about 3 days and was happy to get the right trailer. And I bought new straps and, the axle wraps, and I wanted to make sure everything went off without a hitch. Went there and back. No problem. I didn't even have to restrap the load down. As I get older, I get smarter. When you're young, you'll strap that thing down 3 times, but now that I'm older and wiser, maybe a little wiser in some areas, I strapped that thing down once and it never moved. So anyhow, on to question of the day. I'm going to throw a couple in at the end of the video. I haven't done any in a few days, so let's start with question of the day. Okay, first question of the day comes from Jason Connolly. Jason is across the pond in Australia. How's it going, buddy? I love the Australians. They're like warm weather Canadians. Very similar vibe. I hope to get over there one day. It's on my bucket list. Anyways, Jason has a 576 auto tune saw that I have a lot of experience with. I've built 576s. I've run them. I've had 2 or 3 of them now, and good saws. Jason is missing his flywheel, and he says he found one for sale that's for a non-auto-tune saw. Will they work? Now, Jason, I am pretty sure that you can flip-flop auto-tune and non-auto-tune. I made my non-auto-tune 576 in auto-tune, and it ran fine, and I don't think I changed the flywheel. So anybody out there that knows this definitively, I think you could swap those, can't you? Another guy you might want to send an email to that would know for sure is Donnie Walker. Donnie Walker is 100% a guru when it comes to these kinds of things, but I'm 99.9% sure that a non-auto-tune flywheel will work on an auto-tune saw. Anyhow, hope that helps, and hopefully you get your 576 up and running. Okay, let's throw another one in. This is a good question. This one comes from Lyle. How's it going, buddy? Lyle wanted to know, is there a limit to lower transfer volume, runner volume when we're opening them up? Can you go too big? Have I ever experienced it? Do I find there's a detriment? Honestly, Lyle, I have hogged out some transfers to be giant. I have not found a saw that I didn't like with more transfer volume. Now, the battle really is intake velocity. So you hog out your lower transfers. Now you want to work on your intake. Remember, if you make your intake too big or open too soon, you will you will make your intake lazy. I've done it before. If you have a lot of lower end volume, case capacity we call it, and that's everything below the lower transfers, so that's your case, the area underneath the piston, and your lower transfers, you have to fill that. So if you are going to do that kind of work, open up your intake a little bit sooner, but try not to make your intake too big. So that's where sometimes doing machine work can help, because you'll lower the bottom of your intake port by dropping the cylinder, and you'll make your intake open sooner without hogging your intake out. The other thing is, I tend to run longer transfer timing, meaning my transfers open later, okay, on the downstroke. If you open your transfers sooner and you hog out your lower transfers and you have a lazy intake, you might have a lazier saw. I like to open my lower transfers as low as possible, or upper transfers as low as possible, because that way I'm compressing the bottom end charge for longer in the stroke before the upper transfers open. So, but honestly, I haven't met a saw that I can hog out the transfers too much. You'll burn a hole, you'll blow a hole in the transfers, but honestly, you guys have seen recently that 288 I built, huge transfers. That thing runs, cuts, has good throttle response. And also the 372 I just built, same thing, huge lower transfers, and again, no problems. So anyways, experiment, and again, that's just my thoughts, my experience. Everybody ports different. Some guys swear that big lower transfers are a horrible idea. Who am I to argue with them? Maybe they grind different than me, or do something different, use different timing numbers. Maybe their intake shape different. It doesn't work for them. That's what works for me, and I'm going to keep doing it. Anyhow, thanks for sending all the questions of the day. Thanks for coming on this road trip with me, and we gotta give that new truck a new name. I don't know what I'm gonna call her, but she's a good old machine, and we'll think about that. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.